Hello there. I first read this book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, when I was 8 years old. And I'm 69 years old now. And I still can't get Susan Pevensie out of my head. Maybe you know the story. 4 children, Peter, Edmund, Lucy and Susan. They walk through a wardrobe into a magical land called Narnia. They meet a lion named Aslan, who's more than a lion. They become kings and queens. They save a world. The books became part of me, the way certain stories do when you're young. Not just something you read, but something that somehow shapes how you see things after. But something happened in the final book that bothered me then, and it bothers me still. By the last battle, the last of the Chronicles of Narnia, 3 of the Pevensies make it into the real Narnia. Lewis's version of heaven, external joy with Aslan. Susan doesn't. She's dismissed in a handful of lines. Oh, Susan, they say, she's no longer a friend of Narnia. She's only interested in nylons and lipsticks and invitations. Nylons and lipstick and invitations, really? We must remember that C.S. Lewis wrote this book in 1953 and things were a little different then. Then there's a railway accident. The entire Pevensie family dies. Peter, Edmund, Lucy, their parents, everyone who ever visited Narnia. They all ascend to the real Narnia together. Except Susan. She's alive, alone, the sole survivor who lost everyone in a catastrophic moment. And that's where Lewis left her. I was 8 when I first read that. I remember thinking, that's not fair. What happened? Why is she left out? 61 years later, I'm still wondering. Over the decades, others have wondered too. J.K. Rowling called it problematic. Was Lewis punishing Susan for growing up, for being interested in feminine things? Philip Pullman was harsher. He called it offensive to women. Lewis defenders pointed to his letters where he said Susan's story wasn't finished, that she could still find her way back to Aslan in her own way. He insisted the criticism of her came from other characters, not from him as author. He suggested there was hope. But he never told us that story, never showed us her path back, never explained what really happened to the girl who'd been Queen Susan the Gentle. And I've spent 6 decades imagining what that story might be. Not constantly, not obsessively, not all the time, but the question has lived in the back of my mind through all those years since. Through college and career, marriage and children, successes and losses and failures. Every few years, I pick up the last battle again, read that scene and think, there's something missing here. Something Lewis didn't tell us. So, I'm telling it now. Not to fix Lewis, his books are masterpieces, they don't need any fixing. But to explore the gap he left, to answer the question that's haunted me since childhood. What if there's more to Susan's story? What if her forgetting Narnia wasn't shallowness, but something else entirely? What if something happened that we never ever knew about? I've imagined her story 100 different ways over the years. I've wondered if Lewis planned to write it himself and never got the chance. I've asked myself, what kind of journey could take 70 years? What kind of exile would end in homecoming? What kind of love could survive complete forgetting? Now, I'm finally writing it down. Lewis never wrote this, but I believe it could be true. I hope it honours both his vision and the question that millions of readers have carried. What happened to Susan? Over the next 10 episodes, you'll discover my answer. From Narnia to England, from remembering to forgetting, to searching to home. because everyone deserves to come home, especially Queen Susan the Gentle. This is her story, and in some way, it's been part of mine for 61 years.